welcome back to the post-pandemic episodes of Cooking with Willie. We had a hiatus there for a while, but we're back in action right now. We're still cooking, still eating, and still hoping that you're ready to watch. Here's what we're going to be doing today. First off, we're going to be making a nice salsa. Tell you more about that a little bit later, but it's charred salsa, roasted salsa. We're also going to be making a cornbread that's going to have serrano chilies, pecans, cheese, and man, I mean, it is going to be fantastic because it's going to have bacon added to it. That's right, damn it, bacon. After that, we're going to be making a toasted cumin salad that is just going to be tossed on cucumbers and also some red bell peppers and maybe something else special, I don't know yet. And then we're going to finish up with a massive chicken dish tonight. The chicken dish is going to be tossed in a sweet Sriracha sauce. Man, it's going to be good. Tune in. This is the roasted salsa. Take a look in here at what we got. A roasted poblano, a couple of tomatillos, which if you get these, they're nice and tart. They're kind of like tomatoes, but a lot more tart. We got some roasted onion in here. We got 1, 2, and you might as well go with a third serrano chili. A couple of plum tomatoes to kind of even the sauce out. And there you go, 3 nice roasted chunks of garlic. All right. So the only thing that I've done here to these vegetables after charring them up on the grill is I just cut the stem off of the poblano and I cut the stems off of the serranos. Beyond that, you don't really need to do any prep work. You're gonna let your blender do most of the prep work for you. If you don't have a blender, gotta get a blender. Very important to get a blender. Watch this. And if you're thinking, hey, wait a minute, that looks burned. No, it's not. That's flavor, man. That's flavor. Nothing but the flavor. Oh, I'm gonna make sure to put this on because once before I didn't put this on, and that's what some of the stains over there on the ceiling come from. All right, here we go. Now, I'm not going to puree this, so my blender comes with this nice little attachment. You just stick it on in there. All right. So essentially, this is all the blending that I really want. It's supposed to be kind of a chunky one. There are some other seasonings that I'm going to need to add to it. Some salt and oh, wait a minute. There's a whole damn tomato in there that didn't get blended up. But I'm going to do that when I put the salt in it. It needs a touch and a tickle and a little bit of pepper. Touch and a tickle. Should make like an album called Touch and a Tickle. All right, so let's blend it up a little bit more. And again, you don't want to puree this. Your salsa ought to have a little bit of substance to it. It ought to be nice and chunky. So here's this roasted vegetables that we did and then blended and turned into our chunky salsa. It tasted really nice. It was good and spicy with those 3 serranos, and honestly, no real reason to add any chipotle to it. It would make it a little bit too spicy perhaps for moderate people. So this is the cornbread that we mentioned. You can get this recipe, just email us at Cooking with Willie or whatever our email address is. We'll look it up later. But all that it is just a standard cornbread recipe. And what we're gonna, it's just all-purpose flour, and then some stone ground flour, a little bit of baking soda, a little bit of baking powder. These are our dry ingredients. And into that, we are going to mix our wet, which is buttermilk and butter, which is like buttermilk, I guess. There's also something else in there too. I forgot what it was. And so these are your wet ingredients. You just want to stir that around a little bit. Make sure you don't have too many clumps. I'm going to mash those clumps out again in a minute. And then the other ingredients that we're going to put in this involve 2 serrano chilies. These are whole chilies. I did not scrape the peppers out. We are not moderate people around here cooking with Willie. We are maximum people. And so we wanted the maximum flavor, so we did not scrape it out like they say on TV. I'm also going to throw in some pecans, just because I like pecans, and I thought it would be a nice texture in this cornbread. You'll see why in a second. This is Colby Jack cheese. The original recipe that I got this from, or that I got to do this, that inspired it, actually had using pepper jack cheese. But because I'm using a lot of spices from the Serranos, I don't really want to use pepper jack cheese also. Just want to dump that on in there, make sure it doesn't get a big clump. And now, as I told you a minute ago, the thing that makes it pop, the bacon. I cooked this bacon earlier today, got it nice and crispy. The recipe called for chopping it up really small, but man, why be a wussy? Like, you want a big chunk of bacon, man. And so it called for 2 whole bacons. That looks like 1. That looks like 2. But because this is cooking with Willie, shit, we're going with 3. So you're gonna mix that up a little bit more. It's supposed to be a pourable kind of batter. So if it doesn't look like pancake batter, a little bit too thick here, you want to add a little bit more buttermilk. That might be the right amount. It's going to be great. So you can see that we're getting a good bit of smoke here on the oil that we're going to put, or that is melting here in the bottom of this pan. We're going to put the cornbread batter into this, and the reason why you put this oil in there is to give it a nice crispy golden brown bottom, because who doesn't like a crispy golden brown bottom? And then we'll put that in the oven, and it's going to cook 400 degrees for about 30 minutes or so. So hopefully it'll turn out well a little bit later on. Swirl your oil around a little bit again. Get it as high or close to the top as you can. And then go for it. If it doesn't sizzle, you ain't doing shit. I really hope you got that pocket of flour that had never been mixed in yet. All right, so there's the cornbread mix in the pan. Learn the hard way. Don't ever sit your eyes right above the oven when you open it. Always turn your eyes away. All right. So in goes the pan of cornbread. And we'll set a timer for about 35 minutes. And we'll go with that. So, as we mentioned earlier, the chicken wings, chicken breasts, and the chicken thighs we're going to be cooking actually are going to have a sweet, sweet, sweet sriracha sauce glaze on them. It started with 3 tablespoons of browned melted butter. Actually, the recipe said melted butter, but this butter has browned, and that's going to make it better. And into this, you're supposed to put 3 tablespoons of sriracha. 1, 2, 3, and 4. This recipe calls for maple syrup. I don't want to spend a lot of money on maple syrup. That's like really expensive. So I was going to just put log cabin in it, or you know, Mrs. Butterworth or something. And then I was thinking, why not kick it up a notch and use cane syrup? Essentially, all you're really looking for here is some sweetener. That's really what the point is. And so into this should go 1, 2, and 3 tablespoons of our sweetener. And again, you could use syrup if you have it. You could use sugar if you had it. You could use, I don't know, man, you know, whatever sweet is all you need. All right. So this is just going to mix together, really. There's nothing much more to it other than just mixing the butter, the sriracha, and the sweeteners together. If you're a keen observer of what's going on here, you may have noticed that there's something else on the stove top. That's right. Oh, shit. There's something else on the stove top. It's not just the red sriracha you're familiar with, but also yellow sriracha. This is not made by the same company that makes the regular sriracha. This is a Thai imported product, and it's really good. We're just going to add it in here for a little bit of We're going to add it in here for a little bit of extra garlicky action. Sriracha itself, as you know, has a lot of garlic in it. And we'll give it a taste here in a minute and see where we are. And this is what all of the chicken's going to be tossed in. So as you can see, we're out here with El Chapo, and we are getting ready to put some of these brined chicken drumsticks, chicken breastises, and chicken thighs onto this grill. We're going to let them cook for about an hour or so, or at least until they're done. The FDA or whatever, they give some kind of recommendations, but you know, Fauci, whatever. I'm cooking it however I feel like it's done. So we'll put this in here, and then this is going to be tossed later with the special sauce that you saw us making earlier. Yeah, you want to lay them down real carefully. Little piece. You know, I probably should have oiled the grill grates before doing this, but it'll be fine. Put the little pieces over here. Basically, just make sure nothing's touching something else, and let it go. We'll adjust our vents, let it sit at about 400, 375, 385, 390, whatever, for until it's done, man. So we're going to check the cornbread now. Might not be done yet, but it might be done. You always got to check. Don't forget your checker. And again, remember, safety tip, don't stare into the oven when you open the door. Let it, well, that's hot. Let it come out for a second and then go on in there. This is looking like it's probably done, and it should be done because I inadvertently set the timer for 5 more minutes than it was recommended. So, carefully poke it in. Get it all the way in. Nothing stuck to it, so probably good. So at this point in time, I'm just going to let it cool for a while. We cook this in advance. You don't want it to come out at the exact same time. You want this to be freed from the pan naturally as much as you can. So honestly, I'm going to put this over here, let it sit on a drying rack, and then while the chicken is cooking, this is going to cool down just right, and hopefully everything comes out at the same time. We're back. These are the wings that we made earlier today. Man, and they got nice and brown. Put a little bit of mesquite wood on it as well, so it's going to be really tasty. But if that's not going to be enough, now I'm going to add on to it that sweet sriracha sauce that we made earlier with the cane syrup. Basically, all you got to really do at this point in time is just get as much of it out of the pan as you can. Set that aside, and honestly, a few tosses with the tongs, holler at the people outside the door, and man, you're done. But don't forget, we did also have this cornbread. It's cooled off a good bit. I'm going to try, put it over here. Oh, hell yeah. man. And this is the bacon, serrano, Colby Jack, and pecan cornbread. You want to get in on here on this? We're going to cut this mother open. You may remember we did not wuss out. We had a full 2 serrano chilies that we put in this. And the bread's been cooling for a while. And there's that nice extra bacon. Looks a little wet there. That's gonna be that good cheese. Oh, hell yeah. All right, so here you've got this beautiful cornbread, and look at that bacon. Look at those jalapenos. Look at that, just wet. Oh my God, I can't even say the word cheese. Here we have that fantastic toasted cumin on top of the cucumber and of the red bell pepper and the red onion. Oh my gosh, I mean, look at that. It's just fantastic looking. And of course, there's the chicken. You can see a whole lot more of it right here with that fantastic sweet, 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 sweet Sriracha.